I remember the Sunday mornings with Sarah, pancakes burning on the stove while she laughed at my terrible cooking. Our tiny apartment filled with music and the smell of coffee. We had plans, a future mapped out in whispered conversations under worn blankets. I had the ring, $3,000 saved over 6 months, hidden in my sock drawer. I was ready to spend my life with her. Then came that dinner at her parents' house. I walked into that evening believing in us. I walked out realizing I had been believing alone. Before I tell you how a single dinner destroyed a 2-year relationship, do me a favor. Let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story gets wild. You will not believe what happened 3 years later. Let me take you back to the night that changed everything. I was 28 years old working as a graphic designer at a boutique studio downtown. The pay was not incredible, $45,000 a year, but I loved what I did. Creating logos, building brands, watching ideas come to life on screen. It felt meaningful. Sarah taught 2nd grade at an elementary school across town, 26 years old, with a smile that could light up a room. We met 2 years earlier at a coffee shop on 5th Street. She accidentally knocked over her orange juice, and it splashed all over my white shirt. She was mortified. I laughed. By the end of that conversation, I had her number. We built a life together in a 1-bedroom apartment in the Riverside district. IKEA furniture that we assembled while arguing over the instructions. Movie nights on our sagging couch. Weekend walks through the park where we would plan our someday house, someday wedding, someday kids. The apartment was small and the furniture was cheap, but it was ours. Every morning I would wake up next to her and think how lucky I was. For 6 months, I saved every extra dollar, skipped lunches, walked to work instead of taking the bus, cut out streaming services, all to buy that ring. It was not a massive diamond. The jeweler called it a 1/4 carat, but it was real, and it was beautiful, and it represented everything I wanted to give her. The plan was simple. Ask her parents for their blessing. Propose at the place we first met. Start planning our wedding. I had it all figured out. Then Sarah invited me to dinner. A formal dinner, she said, with her family. I had met her parents briefly before, quick hellos at birthday parties, but never anything official. Never a sit-down conversation. This was my chance. I was nervous but excited. This was the beginning of forever. I prepared like I was going to a job interview. My only suit, navy blue, purchased for a friend's wedding the year before. I ironed my white shirt twice to get the creases perfect. Polished my dress shoes until they gleamed. Bought a bouquet of yellow tulips for her mother, $30 at the flower shop. The woman behind the counter said tulips meant cheerful thoughts. Perfect. I also grabbed a bottle of red wine, $40, which the store employee recommended for dinner parties. I stood in front of my bathroom mirror practicing. Mr. and Mrs. Harrington, I love your daughter, and I would like your blessing to marry her. Over and over until the words felt natural. Sarah was quiet during the drive to her parents' house. She kept fidgeting with her purse strap. I reached over and squeezed her hand. "What is wrong?" I asked. She looked at me with worry in her eyes. "Mom can be particular," she said. "Just be yourself." "Okay. What if they do not like me?" I asked, trying to joke. "They will," she said. "They have to." But her voice did not sound convinced. I brushed it off. "Hey," I said, "I love you. Your parents will see that. That is all that matters." She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. Riverside Heights. That is where they lived. Not my Riverside district with the old apartments and corner stores. This was the expensive suburb with gates and manicured lawns. Their house was a 2-story colonial, with white pillars and black shutters. The grass looked like it was cut with scissors. 2 Mercedes sat in the driveway, one silver, one black. I pulled my 2015 Honda Civic up to the curb and suddenly felt very small. The car made a weird rattling sound when I turned off the engine. Sarah pretended not to notice. Mrs. Patricia Harrington answered the door before we knocked. She must have been watching through the window, 55 years old, wearing a black cocktail dress, like we were attending the opera instead of dinner. Her hair was pulled back in a tight bun, not a strand out of place. She extended her hand. "Zachary," she said. Finally. Her handshake was cold. She looked me up and down, her lips pressed into a thin line. I handed her the tulips and wine. "How thoughtful," she said. The way she said thoughtful did not sound like a compliment. Mr. David Harrington appeared behind her. 58 crisp linen shirt, expensive watch. He shook my hand firmly but said nothing beyond "Nice to meet you, son." Then silence. Awkward, heavy silence. Sarah's younger sister Emma bounded down the stairs. 22 years old, college senior. The only person who seemed genuinely happy to see me. "Hey, Zach," she said, pulling me into a hug. "Sarah talks about you all the time." "Emma," Mrs. Harrington said sharply. "Do not be overly familiar." The house felt like a museum. Hardwood floors so shiny, I could see my reflection. Original artwork on the walls. A crystal chandelier hanging in the entryway. Everything was white and cream and beige, spotless. I was afraid to breathe too hard. Sarah grabbed my hand, and I felt her palms sweating. We walked into the dining room. The table was massive dark wood set with silver that probably cost more than my car. Cloth napkins folded into perfect triangles. Wine glasses that looked like they belonged in a display case. I had never felt more out of place in my life. Mrs. Harrington directed us to our seats. Sarah sat across from me. I wanted her next to me but did not argue. The meal was already plated. Seared duck breast with roasted vegetables arranged like art. I grew up eating meatloaf and mashed potatoes. This was a different universe. I picked up my fork hoping I was using the right one. Mrs. Harrington watched me like a hawk. "So Zachary," she began. "Sarah mentioned you work in graphic design." "Yes, ma'am," I said. "I design for a boutique studio. We do branding, marketing materials, web design." "How artistic," she said. "And where did you study?" "State University," I answered. "I got my BFA there." "State University," she repeated. "Not Northwestern then, or RISD?" "No, ma'am," I said. "State gave me a good education and I graduated debt-free thanks to scholarships." She said, sipping her wine. The sound was dismissive. Mr. Harrington nodded occasionally but offered nothing. Emma tried to lighten the mood. "Zach did the logo for Sarah's classroom," she said. "It is super cute." "I am sure it is," Mrs. Harrington said. The way she said "sure" made it clear she was not impressed. Then came the questions about my family. "And your family, Zachary?" she asked. "What do they do?" I sat up straighter. "My dad is a plumber," I said, unable to hide the pride in my voice. "He owns his own business. Been doing it for 30 years. My mom is a nurse at County General." "Working class," Mrs. Harrington said. "How respectable." Respectable dripped with condescension. My face burned, but I kept my expression neutral. Sarah was staring at her plate, cutting her duck into tiny pieces she was not eating. The interrogation continued. "Sarah says you two share an apartment," Mrs. Harrington asked. "Yes, ma'am," I confirmed. "We have a one-bedroom in the Riverside district. Renting, I assume." "For now, yes," I said. "We are saving for a down payment." "How modern," she said. "Living together before marriage." Her tone made it sound like a crime. Emma interjected. "Mom," she warned. But Mrs. Harrington was on a roll. "Forgive me for being direct," she said, "but Sarah's future is important to us." "What is your annual income?" The room went silent. Emma gasped. Mom, Mr. Harrington shifted uncomfortably. "Patricia, perhaps we should." "It is a valid question." Emma, Mrs. Harrington cut him off. I felt my throat tighten. "About 45,000 a year," I said, "with room for growth." 45,000, she repeated. She let the number hang in the air. In this city, that is. She trailed off meaningfully. Mr. Harrington looked like he wanted to disappear. I looked at Sarah, desperate for her to say something. Anything. But she kept her eyes down, silent. My hands were shaking under the table. I made myself take a breath. This was why I came here. To be honest, to ask for their blessing. I could not back down now. Mr. and Mrs. Harrington, I said, forcing my voice steady. I actually wanted to talk to you tonight about something important. The room went completely still. I looked at Sarah, but she would not meet my eyes. I love your daughter, I continued. I want to marry her. I am here to ask for your blessing. Silence. The kind of silence that feels like drowning. Emma's mouth dropped open. Oh, wow, she started to say. Emma, quiet, Mrs. Harrington snapped. She set down her fork and knife with deliberate precision, dabbed her mouth with her napkin, folded it carefully. Then she looked directly at me. That is very bold of you, Zachary, she said. Have you thought this through? Marriage is a serious commitment. I have, ma'am, I said. I have thought about nothing else for months. And you believe you can provide for my daughter? She asked. I explained everything. How I was developing in my career. How the studio had a big project coming up, and I might get promoted. How we had a savings plan. How Sarah had a stable job. How we would build our future together. One step at a time. Mrs. Harrington listened without expression. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair, interlaced her fingers. Zachary, she said, I appreciate your honesty. So let me be equally honest with you. She paused. The pause felt like an eternity. You seem like a nice young man, she continued. Polite, hardworking, but another pause. You are too poor to marry my daughter. The words hit me like a physical blow. I heard Emma gasp. Mom, what the hell? Mr. Harrington spoke up. Patricia, that is inappropriate. Mrs. Harrington ignored them both. Her eyes stayed locked on mine. I am being practical, she said. Sarah grew up with certain standards. Private schools, dance lessons, summer homes. Can you provide that? With all due respect, I managed to say Sarah and I have built a life together. She is happy. Happy, Mrs. Harrington laughed. It was not a kind sound. She is settling Zachary. There is a difference. Do you know what her father makes? She asked. $250,000 a year. That is the life she knows. You make $45,000. You live in a rented apartment. You drive a 10-year-old car. How can you possibly think you are a suitable match? My hands gripped the edge of the table. Because I love her, I said. Because we make each other happy. Money is not everything. Money is not everything, she repeated mockingly. But it is security. It is stability. It is the life my daughter deserves. Frankly, I think you are being selfish. You are asking her to give up comfort for what love does not pay for children's education or medical emergencies. She said it like love was foolish. Like I was foolish. I turned to Sarah. My voice was shaking now. Sarah, I said, say something. Tell her she is wrong. Sarah sat there with tears streaming down her face, but no words came out. Sarah, please, I begged. We have talked about this. We have planned our future. Tell them. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at her mother, looked at me. More tears. Still nothing. Mr. Harrington cleared his throat. Sarah, if you have something to say, this is the time. Emma leaned forward. Sarah, come on. You love him, right? It is not that simple. Emma, Sarah whispered. Not that simple. I felt my heart crack. Sarah, it is a yes or no question. Do you want to marry me or not? I do not know, Zach, she said, her voice barely audible. Mom has a point. I grew up a certain way. I do not know if I can. She stopped herself. Can what? I demanded. Live without luxury. Is that what you are saying? I am saying, I need to think about our future practically, she said. I thought I was your future, I said. Mrs. Harrington interrupted. Sarah, you do not have to answer to him right now. This is clearly an emotional moment. No, I said firmly. She does. Sarah, look at me. She finally looked up. Her mascara was running in black streaks, but I saw it in her eyes. The doubt, the hesitation. She was torn, but she was leaning toward her mother. That is when something inside me broke. Not loudly, quietly, like a light going out. The woman I loved did not love me enough, did not believe in us enough to fight for us. Emma looked at me with pity. Zach, I am so sorry, she said. This is insane. Mr. Harrington finally spoke. Patricia, you have gone too far. But Mrs. Harrington sat there looking satisfied. She had won, and she knew it. I stood up. My legs felt unsteady. You know what I said. I think I have my answer. Zach, wait, Sarah said, panic in her voice. Please, wait for what, Sarah, I asked. For you to find your voice, I have been waiting this whole dinner. Your mother just called me too poor to marry you, and you sat there silent. That tells me everything I need to know. My voice was calm now, eerily calm. I walked toward the hallway to get my coat. Mrs. Harrington called after me. Zachary, we are not finished with dinner. Do not be dramatic. I turned back. Oh, we are finished, I said. Thank you for your honesty, Mrs. Harrington. At least now I know where Sarah learned to be silent when it matters. Her face turned red. I looked at Sarah one last time. If you change your mind, I said, if you find your voice, you know where to find me. But I will not hold my breath. Emma ran over and hugged me. I am so sorry, Zach, she said. You deserve better. Thanks, Emma, I said. You are the only good thing about this family. Mr. Harrington followed me to the door. Son, he said quietly, my wife means well. Give Sarah time. With respect, sir, I said, I have given her 2 years. She had her chance tonight. I walked out into the cold night air, got into my car, started the engine with that familiar rattle. My phone immediately started buzzing. Sarah calling. I put it on silent. Did not look back at the house. Just drove away. I drove home in a fog, sat in my dark apartment still wearing my vest. The ring box was still in my pocket. I took it out, opened it. The diamond caught the streetlight coming through the window. $3,000. 6 months of sacrifice. For nothing. My phone would not stop. 15 missed calls from Sarah by midnight. 23 text messages. Please answer. I am sorry. Can we talk? I did not mean it. Mom was wrong. I love you. I left them all unread. I went to bed but did not sleep. Just stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment. Every word. Every silence. The next few days were torture. Sarah showed up at my workplace. Please, she said, just 5 minutes. I agreed to meet her for coffee. Maybe I needed closure. We went to the same cafe where we first met. The irony was painful. She looked awful, eyes red and swollen. She had not slept either. I'm so sorry, Zach, she started. I froze. My mother has always been controlling. I should have stood up for you. You should have, I said, but you did not. I was scared, she said. I know that is not an excuse, but I have never gone against my mother before. So you chose her over me, I said. No, she protested. I choose you. I am choosing you now. We can make this work. I will move out. We will elope. Whatever you want. She reached for my hand across the table. I pulled back. Sarah, I said, you had your moment. When your mother said I was too poor, that was your moment. You sat there silent. And that silence told me you agreed with her. Maybe not consciously, but deep down you think I am not enough. That is not true, she cried. I love you. Maybe you do, I said. But love is not enough when there is no respect, no partnership. I need someone who will stand with me, not behind their mother. Please, she begged. We can work through this. No, I said. We cannot. Because I will never forget that you let her say those things. I will never forget sitting there humiliated while you stayed silent. Her expression changed. Anger replaced desperation. So that is it, she said. 2 years and you are just done. I am done being with someone who does not believe in us enough to fight, I said. I stood up. I hope you find someone your mother approves of, Sarah. Someone rich enough to check her boxes. Goodbye. I walked away, heard her sobbing behind me. Did not look back. Could not look back. That was the last time I saw her. The first month was brutal. I threw myself into work. 60, 70-hour weeks. Volunteered for every project. Stayed late. Came in on weekends. My boss noticed. Zach, you okay? He asked. You are crushing it, but do not burn out. I am fine, I lied. Work was the only thing that kept me from thinking about her. Months 2 and 3, I started rebuilding myself. Deleted all social media connected to Sarah. Unfriended her family. Kept Emma, though. She sent me a message. You did the right thing. My sister is an idiot. I joined a gym. Started going every morning at 6. Ran until my lungs burned. Signed up for a half marathon. I had never been a runner before, but I needed a goal. Something to work toward. I took online courses. UI and UX design. Basic coding. Digital marketing. Anything to improve myself. To prove I was worth more than $45,000 a year. Month 4, I started networking. Attended industry meetups. Connected with other designers. Posted my work on Behance and Dribbble. My portfolio started getting attention. Comments. Likes. Messages. People noticed my work. Month 5, everything changed. I got a message from a headhunter. Saw your work online. Tech startup in Silicon Valley looking for senior product designer. Interested, I almost deleted it. Silicon Valley felt impossible. But I responded. Why not? The interview process was intense. 4 rounds. Design challenges. Presentations. Meeting the team. But I nailed it. They loved my portfolio, my attitude, my hunger. 2 weeks later, they sent an offer. $95,000 plus equity plus relocation package. I sat staring at the email for an hour. This was my chance. Fresh start, new city, new life. I called my parents. My mom cried happy tears. My dad's voice was gruff with pride. Son, he said, that woman did not deserve you. Go show the world what you are made of. I accepted the offer that night. Gave notice at my job. My boss was disappointed but understood. You are going to do amazing things, he said. I sold my furniture. Broke my lease. Packed everything I owned into my Honda. Drove across the country alone. 3 days on the road. Time to think. Time to heal. Time to let go. When I crossed into California, I felt like I was shedding old skin, becoming someone new. Year 1 in San Francisco was transformative. I lived in a small apartment in the Mission District. Expensive, but manageable with my new salary. The work was intense, fast-paced, innovative. I was the lead designer on a fitness tracking app for seniors. It sounds niche, but it exploded. Featured in the App Store. Press coverage. My designs were praised. Intuitive, beautiful, accessible. I made friends. Jake, an engineer who loved bad movies. Priya, a product manager who introduced me to the best Thai food I had ever tasted. We explored the city together. Went to concerts. Hiked in Marin. Life felt full again. Different from what I had planned, but good. I got promoted 6 months in. Lead product designer. $110,000. I started investing. Learned about 401ks and index funds. Built financial literacy I never had before. Year 2 brought massive change. Our startup got acquired by a major tech company. The acquisition meant our stock options vested. I received $200,000 from stock I barely understood. First time in my life I had serious money. I did not blow it. Invested most of it. But I bought a small condo in Oakland. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. My parents visited. My dad walked through every room twice. "Son," he said, voice thick, "you did this yourself. I am so proud of you." At my new company post-acquisition, I became design director. Managed a team of 5 designers. Salary jumped to $145,000 plus bonuses. I started therapy to deal with lingering hurt from Sarah. Learned to set boundaries. Dated casually, but nothing serious. I was not ready. Focused on friendships and hobbies. Picked up photography. Found peace in creating for myself, not for work. Year 3, another headhunter reached out. Another company wanted me as VP of design. Smaller company, but growing fast. They offered $200,000 plus significant equity. I negotiated. Got them to $225,000 with better equity terms. My dad, the plumber's son, was making almost $250,000. Accepted the offer. Built a design team from scratch. Hired talented people. Mentored them. My condo appreciated in value. I traded in my Honda for a Tesla. Not to show off, but because I could afford reliability. I traveled. Japan, Iceland, Portugal. Places I always wanted to see but could never afford. Got featured in design publications. Did an interview for Design Weekly magazine about building inclusive products. Started speaking at conferences. Helped my parents financially. Bought my dad new tools for his business. Paid off my mom's car. Set up a trust fund for their retirement. My dad cried when I told him. "You did it, son," he said. "And you did it your way." 3 years and 2 months after that dinner, I was at my desk reviewing design mocks for our new app launch. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me look. A text message. "Zach, it is Sarah. I know I have no right to reach out, but I need to talk to you. Please." I stared at the screen. I had not thought about her in months. The ache was gone. No anger, no hurt, just indifference. Another message came through. "I saw your interview in Design Weekly. I am so proud of you, and I am so sorry for what happened." Then, another. "Mom was wrong. I was wrong. I should have fought for you. I have regretted it every day for 3 years. One more. I am back in town. I left teaching. Things did not work out with someone Mom set me up with. I know I do not deserve it, but can we talk?" Priya walked past my desk. "You okay?" she asked. "You look weird. Just a ghost from the past," I said. She raised an eyebrow but did not push. I looked back at the messages. Sarah had left teaching. Her mom set her up with someone. It did not work out. Now she wanted to talk. Wanted back in. I leaned back in my chair. Looked out the window at the San Francisco skyline. Thought about the man I was 3 years ago. Sitting in that dining room being told I was not good enough. Driving away with my heart in pieces. Crying alone in my apartment, wondering what was wrong with me. I thought about who I was now. VP of design at a growing company. Respected in my field. Financially stable. Surrounded by people who valued me. Confident. Whole. Happy. Sarah's silence that night was the best thing that ever happened to me. If she had stood up for me, if she had said yes, where would I be? Married into a family that looked down on me. Stuck in a relationship built on unequal ground. Never pushed to discover what I was capable of. Never forced to bet on myself. Her rejection was a gift wrapped in pain. I did not respond to her messages. not out of spite, not to hurt her, but because that chapter was closed. She belonged to a version of me that no longer existed, a version that needed external validation, that measured worth by someone else's approval. I had learned the hard way that your value is not determined by who loves you. It is determined by how you love yourself. Real love means standing together when it is hard. Sarah could not do that. Her mother's opinion mattered more than our relationship. I could not build a future with someone who did not believe in me when it counted. I typed out a response, then deleted it. She did not deserve my energy anymore. Not my anger. Not my forgiveness. Just nothing. I turned my phone face down. Got back to work. Focused on the designs in front of me. On the team that depended on me. On the life I had built from the ashes of that terrible night. Emma texted me later that week. Sarah told me she reached out. I am sorry. You do not owe her anything. I know, I replied. I appreciated Emma. She was the only one who saw how wrong that dinner was. The only one who stood up. But even her apology could not undo what happened. Could not erase that silence. 3 years ago, I thought losing Sarah was the worst thing that could happen to me. Turns out, it was the best. Because I did not lose her. I found myself. And that. That is worth more than any approval I ever needed. Sometimes people do not see your value until you have moved on. By then it does not matter anymore. You have already proven it to the only person who counts, yourself. So here is my question for you. Have you ever had someone doubt you and then regret it when you proved them wrong? Drop your story in the comments. I would love to hear it. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe if you have not already. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is being told they are not enough. Because you are enough. You always were. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that your worth is not up for debate. Keep building. Keep growing. Keep proving yourself right. You have got this.